Alright, so I'm painting a D&D green dragon here. I've already done the blocking in, which was done with quite a few colors that I'll list below. Right now I'm doing something called dry brushing, which is where I grab a dry brush and grab some paint on it, and then I wipe it on the paper towel like you saw, and then I just rub it all over, and it gives like a cool shading effect. So like I'm doing it right here on the wings, and when I'm done you'll see that it really grabs on the, what do you call it? Not the recesses, but the opposite of that. So like the parts that stick up. And it grabs on that and makes them stand out. So it's like a highlighting technique. So you just rub that all over. And I think the color that I'm using there to highlight is called, it's by Army Painter. It's called Brain Matter Beige, I believe. So yeah, I'm just doing that, and then I think I'm gonna go over that with the snake scale green, also by Army Painter. So also you can see that my desk here, which is actually my kitchen table, is a mess. I've got lots of brushes and paints, and I'm doing a lot of dry brushing. Like, dang girl, calm down. But it turns out really cool in the end. I've got the finished product here with me now, and he looks really dope. So here I am. I think I'm switching. Yep, there's the scale, the snake scale green by Army Painter. I just opened the blinds there to get better light. But you can see that when I rubbed it on the paper towel, I rub it until there's barely any color coming out of it, and then I use it for dry brushing. So it just barely puts paint on, not a whole lot. And then here I think I'm gonna detail the teeth, which you can't really see. I was trying to like zoom the camera in there. But I couldn't zoom in on the front camera. Couldn't figure out how to do it. So I'm gonna be silent for a little bit while I detail the teeth, and then I will get back to you. Alright, so Nuln Oil. We're using Nuln Oil to add a sort of texture to the rocks, which later on I found out that this was entirely a pointless step, so you don't need to do this. But we're going to do it anyways, and then we're going to wait about an hour for this to dry, and then completely cover it with rocks. So, see you there. Alright, now I'm going to go in with some clear Elmer's glue. Had a little bit of stuff stuck on the tip there and it wasn't working. So we're just putting glue all over it really, and then I'm going to take my clearly marked glue paintbrush to spread this all over it. And then up next we're going to add some terrain, which the bags of rocks and stuff that I use in these videos, my husband was awesome, and he went to this place called Star Nursery, and they have just like mounds and mounds of dirt and rock and gravel, and he asked him if he could take some samples, and so all of this stuff was completely free. So I would suggest you go to any kind of rock yard, sand yard, or whatever and ask for some free samples, because they'll give it to you and you get a decent amount, because they think that you're going to go home and like lay it out to see how it looks in your yard, when really you're just painting miniatures like a nerd. Anyways, so we've glued this, and now we're just dumping gravel all over it at random. So we get a few little big rocks. here and there, and then now we are placing the bigger white stones that I have, which I think look pretty cool. And what we're gonna do with these is we're just gonna super glue them down with some Gorilla super glue, or any kind of super glue that you have. And then right here, I'm dumb. I'm holding the rocks and applying the super glue to them and then sticking them down. Don't do this. You're gonna get super glue on your fingers like I did, and look at me shaking because I'm so scared to get glue on my fingers like an idiot. So just you'll see me do it in a minute, but just put it on the rock that you've already applied and then stick the rock to the glue. Much safer way to do it. And look at me with this, oh, there we go, I'm doing it. Finally got good. But yeah, what I like to do is go in and place the rocks, obviously, everywhere that I think they'll look good, rearrange them, and then once I've found a good, position for where I want everything, then I go in and glue everything down. So that's a good way to start before you just start sticking things at random, and then at the end you're like, ugh, I don't like how that turned out, and then you've got super glue all over the place, and you can't undo it. So yeah, just lay down things before you glue them, so you have an idea of what you want. And then here, this moss I got at Michael's craft store for $10 per bag, and I've got the green and orange one, as well as a all blue moss, which is really like fantasy cool. So check out Michael's for some terrain supplies. They've got some cool stuff. And again, all I'm doing here is I'm just ripping off little pieces and placing it before I glue. So I know what it's gonna look like, if I like it. And I don't have to go back and try to like rip it off if I don't. Also, pro tip, when you're working with moss, again, you want to put the super glue down on what you've already done and then push the moss down, but do not push too hard because it will go straight through the moss onto your finger, and then super glue will you'll die, I swear. Kind of a long process here, just gluing and sticking, gluing and sticking. But it ends up looking pretty cool. I can't wait to put my dragon on it. I haven't done that yet, but by the end of the video, I will have, and you will see it. And then right here is kind of a pro move. I'm using my glue brush to make sure I've pushed all the moss down and get it saturated in that glue. And dun 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 dun. I need better lighting, but this is my dragon. I painted him today. It took about 5 hours total, including like waiting for glue to dry and all that stuff, So he looks pretty cool. Look at that detail. I mean, I'm not like a pro or anything, but that looks pretty good.